Well, everyone, I don't know about you, but I'm so proud to be a part of Unity because we honor all paths that lead to God, and we welcome people from all philosophies, from all religious backgrounds. As Brandon sang this morning, you are welcome in this place. And so what I thought I'd do this last month or two is once a month, I'm going to pick another philosophy, another religion, another culture, and look at it and compare it to ours and what we have in common and how we can help each other just by getting to know each other. And so today, I picked the Hopi tribe from northern Arizona. And look at them today and what we have in common with them and how they can help us in living through this time of the pandemic. Now, I don't claim to be an expert. I know just enough to be dangerous. But I've always felt a heart connection with the Hopi. They are such a gentle spiritual people, and I feel such a heart connection with them. Their culture is very ancient and mysterious. And there are so many legends and theories of where they come from. They're so much older than other American tribes. So some people feel, or maybe they came from the Anasazi, the people that disappeared so long ago. Other people say, no, they came from the south. They were part of the Incas. Other people say maybe they were Atlanteans. Some people say they came all the way from Tibet because their facial features are so similar. And other people say, they came from the stars. Oh, the mystery. Mysteries are so fun to solve, aren't they? Now, they're honored for their deep inner wisdom, and if there's truth to the old saying that the eyes are the window to the soul, I truly believe that, for I've looked into their eyes and I sense that peaceful connection with spirit that they have. The Hopi villages are high up on 3 mesas, very high and very desolate area out in the middle of nowhere. The first thing I had to do when I once moved to Arizona, I had to know the difference between a mesa, a mountain, or a butte. What's the difference? Well, I soon learned that mesas are like, the word mesa is Spanish for table. So the mesas are shaped like a table with a flat top. So of course people can live on a mesa. A butte is a single standing, looks like a mountain, but it's single standing alone. And a mountain has a range of all kinds of buttes connected. So that's the butte, the mountain, and the mesa. Now, I still haven't learned the difference between a pine, a pinyon, or a fir, but that's for a whole nother day. The mesas are very desolate, and yet busloads of tourists flock to the mesas to visit the Hopi every day. And you can feel the spirit of the land out there. I once was in an area somewhere between the Navajo and the Hopi reservations, and it was the most out in the middle of nowhere, desolate place I've ever been, and yet I've never felt so peaceful. I've never felt so connected to spirit as I did in that place. Maybe because it is stripped of everything but God itself. The word Hopi means well-behaved, well-mannered, a formal and dignified people. And Major John Wesley Powell, the man who took the first expedition on a boat through the Grand Canyon, once said about them, the people are very hospitable and quite ceremonious. They're also very polite. If you meet them out in their fields, they salute you with a greeting which seems to mean, may the birds sing happy songs in your fields. Isn't that pretty? It's a lot better than some of the salutes we can give each other in our culture. Unfortunately, the government at one point put all the Native Americans on different reservations, and they put the Hopi and the Navajo on the same reservation, not knowing that they had been enemies forever. So here they were all thrown together on the same reservation. What were they going to do? Well, the Hopi, being such a generous people, said to the Navajo, you take the good land down below. We'll take the land on the high mesas out in the middle of nowhere. One time we took a church tour group up to the Hopi Mesas, and someone who was very misunderstood the principles of prosperity said, how can these people be spiritual? They're so poor. And I thought, oh my goodness, you've totally misunderstood the laws of prosperity. A prosperity conscious means you have a soul reliance on the divine. Doesn't mean you have a lot of money in the bank. It means you rely on the divine for everything. And no one does that more than the Hopi. They have survived in such a desolate area for so long that they have learned how to totally rely on that higher power, by whatever name you call that. And so here's how they live. Here's how they can help us during this time of the pandemic. You see, where we are a type of people that would look out and see a limited water supply, for example, they listen to Spirit. And they heard those inner voices showing them how to plant their seeds and how to capture every bit of moisture so that they could grow food out there. Where we might see lack, they experience abundance. Like Jesus, who said, I have food that you do not know of. Like Jesus, who said, living waters of Spirit flow through me. They too learn to rely on that essence of Spirit. Science can back this up now with quantum physics. They talk about the subatomic particles, the adamantium particles of light, that everything is made out of Spirit, divine. And so when we look out where we might have felt abandoned by God, and do so in our desert experiences, like the pandemic, they celebrate the divine in all things, no matter what's happening. And so in the midst of a pandemic, they would tell us to celebrate life in the midst of this. Where we see separation, they see the oneness, the interconnectedness that we all share in our union with that divine presence of light. Charles Fillmore in the Revealing Word talked about the desert experience. He was speaking metaphysically. He said a desert place in the consciousness of man is seeing a lack of substance and life. In truth, desert places do not really exist. From the viewpoint of Spirit, there is no lack. Where God is, there are His inexhaustible resources. God is everywhere present. We just have to know how to listen and how to tap in to that energy and substance that is around us at all times. The Hopi would say they're more spiritual than religious, and they have a complex series of ceremonies and dances. They dance to bring the rain. They dance for any gift in life, like food and shelter. And they say their dances keep the world revolving around. And I would not argue that with them at all. Their dances are full of energy and life and joy. They have ceremonial chambers called kivas, where they go in and that's the center of their religious life. Again, they honor the divine in all things. They have hundreds of Kachina spirits, which we might compare to our angels. I have a Kachina doll right now, or not a doll, but a statue of a Kachina made out of cottonwood. And what I call them are representations of divine attributes. There are thousands of divine attributes, and so they call them Kachinas. And they're famous for their artwork, their jewelry, their baskets, their pottery, and most of all, their dancing, their ceremonies. If you want to learn more about their spirituality, there's a book called The Book of the Hopi. You could say it's their Bible. It's full of their legends and stories and history. All philosophies have a creation story. Let's listen to their creation story and compare it to ours. The first world was endless space. Sounds like our void, doesn't it? An immeasurable void that had its beginning and end, time and shape, and life in the mind of the Creator. He gathered that which was to be manifest as solid substance, molded it into forms, and then said, "It is very good." What does that remind you of? It is good. So the story continues. So the first people kept multiplying and spreading over the face of the land and were happy. Although they were of different colors and spoke different languages, they felt as one and understood one another without talking. It was the same with the birds and the animals. They all felt as one, people and animals. But then among them came the talker. He came in the form of a bird, somewhat like a mockingbird, and the more he kept talking, the more he convinced them of their differences. By reasons of differences of color of their skin, their speech, those who remembered the plan of the Creator and those who did not. There came among them a handsome one in the form of a snake. There we have the snake symbol, with a big head, and he led the people still further away from one another and their pristine wisdom. They became suspicious of one another and accused one another wrongfully until they became fierce and warlike and began to fight one another. Doesn't that sound like our history too? Well, eventually, the first world, as they call it, was destroyed. And the theory was that that's when the Ice Age happened. And the Ice Age forced them to go underground. In the Grand Canyon, they went underground. And when the ice finally melted, they were able to come back up merge from that underground again. And there are many legends of their life underground in the Grand Canyon. There's a sideline story that I find very interesting in the For What It's Worth department. It has nothing to do with this. But this is a true story. In 1909, the Phoenix Gazette had a front page story, that there was a huge discovery in an underground cavern in the Grand Canyon, and there were artifacts there resembling both Egyptian and Tibetan. Later, the authorities denied this, but that area has ever since been off limits to the public. It was the first great conspiracy theory of 1909. I love a good conspiracy theory. Don't we love the mysterious? So fun. I think we love the mysterious because it's a reflection of the mystery that we have lost inside of ourselves. And life is to rediscover those mysteries and to celebrate those mysteries of life. Joseph Campbell once said, "We are not seeking for meaning in life, but the experience of being alive, to feel the rapture of being alive." And that's what the Hopi are here to teach us through their wonderful dancing, through the mysteries of their legends, through their artwork. We too can experience and awaken the mysteries inside of ourselves. When we can close our eyes, our underground is closing our eyes and going into that secret place of the Most High, where we can have that mountaintop experience and rediscover the mystery of our spirit. And so join us today on Zoom at 1 o'clock, and we can share stories of our own mysteries inside. We can talk about how you've stopped the world during this time, how you've gone underground, what you've done to cope. Meanwhile, we're so grateful to those who continue to support Unity Church of the Cumberlands. And if you wish to support us, you can go on our website, unitycookeville.org, and click on the donate button. Or you can mail your love offering to 823 East 10th Street, Cookeville, Tennessee, 38501. Meanwhile, let's pray our prosperity affirmation that we do each Sunday, and let's pray it along with the Hopi as we know the truth of our being together. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And I am grateful. And we're so grateful for all of you that have joined us today. We call forth the abundance of life in your world. We call forth the mystery in your heart. And we affirm our prayer of protection, or some call it the prayer of enfoldment. If you know it, please say it with me. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is.